Hello, everybody, and welcome to your favorite show each and every Monday night. Of course, we took the Christmas season off and spent with our families, and plus there was some sickness going around. So glad to be back. Start of the 2025 year, and of course, you can't start the 2025 year without the man with the plan. We're talking about the most popular man in the Southeast. We're talking about Ref Brandon. How's it going, Brandon?
Amazing. How you doing?
Oh, I can't complain. I'm glad to be back. And Raph, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing during this month off, basically, that we took.
Yeah, I ended up this past weekend. I ended up refereeing a show on Friday and Saturday. The Saturday thing was planned for a good little while. It was a benefit show for a lady that has spina bifida. She's in a wheelchair, but Friday wasn't planned. The guy that runs the show on Friday messaged me about 3 o'clock Friday and said, "Hey, can you come ref tonight?" He was short a referee, and luckily high school basketball was taking a break for the holidays, so I was available. So I ended up doing a show Friday and a show Saturday. So I was a busy man all weekend. And this Saturday I'll be back at SWA in Easton Island, Georgia, unless it snows. They're calling for snow. If it snows, it may get canceled.
All right. Well, Briff, first of all, we want to pay the bills, which means we got to go to our sponsors. First of all, opening up tomorrow. That's right, folks. Tomorrow on Tuesday at 11 a.m., Beef and Rib in Westminster is finally open. They will be open tomorrow from 11 to 8, and that's going to be, of course, the hours Tuesday through Saturday this week, and then we'll go from there. I'll know more about what their schedule will be the following Monday when we get them back to you. But we want to definitely shout out to Angie and Donnie over at Ardensburg Grill in Central South Carolina, opening up their new restaurant in Westminster, Beef and Rib. Make sure you go by. The best meat and three you can get your hands and your mouth on. That's right. All right, so I also want to thank Hyundai of Anderson. Use code HOA24. We appreciate Herschel and all the team down at Hyundai of Anderson. Go by, get a great deal. I did. I got me a 2016 Nissan Frontier. Great price. You can get new, used cars. It doesn't matter. They will get you the best deal. And, of course, they support Rasslin and Racin. We also want to thank everybody over at Pepsi Cola. Also a... Excuse me, I just lost redbubble.com. Of course, if you notice, I've got my Rasslin and Racin hat on. That's right, Rasslin and Racin podcast hat. Make sure you go by, get that today. You can go by redbubble.com, and the collection is called the Furman Joust Collection, and you can get any of our podcasts, any of our company, that's the Greenville Sports Media, you name it, we got it there. You will not be disappointed. All right, well, Brandon, we're not going to go into it too much this week. Next week we'll go into it heavy, but NASCAR starts back up on Sunday, February 2nd at 8 p.m. The Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray. That's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. 200 laps. Brandon, are you looking forward to this season?
I am, and before the season starts, we do need to, at least in the Cup Series, run down a lot of the car changes, because there's been drivers change numbers, there's been drivers change companies, there's been new crew chiefs. We can talk about all that before the season starts, but I really think this is going to be a really, really, really good season. And I said that last year, and last year ended up being a pretty doggone good season. But this year, not only do we have all the driver changes and crew chief changes, but this year we have new TV partners coming into play with Amazon for the first time ever, going to carry races, and TNT, which used to carry racing during the summertime, is back on board this year. So we also have some commentary and announce team changes this year as well we could talk about before the season gets here.
Well, like I said, we're going to get started on that next week, Brandon. We're going to really run down through a lot of NASCAR next week. Of course, this week is just too much jam-packed with professional wrestling. And, folks, it doesn't go without doubt that tonight, of course, is going to be Netflix is bringing you Raw. That's right. Raw is going to be streaming on Netflix starting at 8 p.m., and it's good. It's a changing of the guard, Brandon. It's been on USA forever. Well, it did go over to TNN at one time for a short period of time, but went back to the USA channel. What's your thoughts on the card tonight? I mean, we're not going to go through it right now because there's so much that I understand could be changing. So, what's your thoughts tonight?
Yeah, they're building it like a premium live event, which they should because it's jumping over to Netflix. And they've announced a few matches, but they also said that The Undertaker's going to appear, The Rock is going to appear. More than likely, Becky Lynch and Logan Paul are going to return tonight. They said Stone Cold lives in Vegas, so it's not very far from Vegas to California, so he might be on there. They're going to kick off John Cena's retirement tour tonight. So it should be really, really good. And I do wonder if it will affect the TV ratings at all. I don't think it will. I personally don't have Netflix. I might get it in the future, but right now I don't have it. I don't see myself paying extra $10 a month just to watch a little TV. But when Netflix carried the NFL a couple of weeks ago, their TV ratings were like 25 million, which is about what the NFL does on regular TV.
Yeah.
So that tells me that about everybody has Netflix. So I don't think it's going to affect the TV rating at all. And even if it does, it won't be much. It'll get better over time because they're claiming that they're going back to the TV mature audience, and a lot of people feel like you have to have a lot of blood and a lot of guts to have good wrestling. So even if somebody don't have it, if that does happen, I think over time about everybody will get it. But I think it's going to be really good. It's just going to be funny to see Raw not be on, some kind of big, huge national television channel, because outside of TNN, which was about, I think, 3 years, it's been on USA for the better part of 30 years. But so many people have streaming services now that a streaming service is just about the same thing as being on regular TV.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's they're going to mature because they don't have to worry about the TV thing. When you're streaming, you can stream movies that are even 3 times worse. So there's not going to be an issue there. And it's going to 3 hours. It is going to be a premium event tonight. I understand there's a lot of legends that's going to be there, including Hulk Hogan and some other ones. Of course, I don't like Hulk, but that's beside the point. But it's definitely a new era for WWE. And plus, it's going to be no commercials, which means it's going to be just continuous action. And I think that's something that a lot of them are looking forward to. I know Busted Open was talking to Dominic Mysterio this morning, and a lot of interesting stuff there. You can go to their YouTube channel and listen to that. Bully Ray, Mark Henry was interviewing him. And then, of course, they also had Scott Steiner on there. So looking really forward to this year with us, too. We're hoping to have a few surprises of our own. All right, Brandon, let's go to our breakdown this weekend from Wrestle Dynasty 2025. Of course, this was the All Elite Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, CMLL, and Stardom, all being held at the Tokyo Dome this past weekend. And I know, Ref, you told me because of your work schedule, you didn't have a chance to watch it. So I'm going to go through this, and folks, I'm telling you, if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. It was amazing. Yes, it's produced a little differently from the United States versions, but I'm telling you right now, it was still a great show, great angles. I liked it. Of course, it started to show off with Momo Wannabe from Stardom defeated Willow Nightingale, Personified, and Athena. Athena was actually the one that got pinned. So Momo actually gets a choice of what title she would like to go after by winning this match. So a lot of people are not sure if she's going to go after the New Japan or if she's going to go after the AEW or the ROH title that's held by those three. So very interesting on that one, Brandon. I know I'm going to give you a chance to give me your thoughts if you want. I know you didn't get a chance to watch it, but I know you still would like to make some comments on it.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of matches that I wish I could have seen, but I did see, highlights of the show, and I did see, I forget what his name was, but one guy did a spot off the top rope on the outside, hit the barricade, and broke his left elbow. I did see that, but as far as, seeing the whole card start to finish, I didn't, but I wish I could have. But NJPW has always put on really good shows. And at one time, it used to come on TV on Friday nights. I think at 10 o'clock at night every Friday for an hour. And it was so good, but I think then it got bumped back to about midnight. So I'm not sure now if anybody still sees it or not. But NJPW is kind of like TNA. They have great talent, great stars putting on great matches, but just nobody is able to see it. So it's hard to bring in, buys come pay-per-view time unless you bring in, stars from other brands, because just the stars you have, nobody's heard of because you don't come on TV on a regular basis.
That's very true. All right, our next matchup was the Sons of Texas, who defeated the House of Torture. And this was actually a pretty good match, Ref. I think if you go back and watch it, I think Dustin and Sammy Guevara are actually coming into their own, becoming a pretty good tag team.
Well, Dustin Rhodes just, re-signed with AEW. So he'll be around for at least another year or so. But it seems like even though he's getting older, it seems like he's just getting better with age. He ain't missed a step in the ring. I don't know how he feels physically, but just, as far as watching him, he looks the same as he did when he was a natural 30 years ago.
Yep.
So he can about be a tag team with anybody.
And Guevara actually, he does some sick moves, man. You definitely got to give a lot of shouts out to him. Okay, the next match was a battle, and I think this is the match where I think the elbow injury happened. It was Tajiri Ishimori who defeated Hichichiro Kasoi Fujita. Folks, if I'm butchering these names, please forgive me. Cerberano Jr., Master Wado, Master Torado, Titan, and El Desperado.
I'll just let you say them.
I was like, what the hey? This was a match. And then, of course, the next match went time limit. And this match was quite funny because it ended with both of these women chopping the fool out of each other for the good, seemed like 5 minutes. And then shook hands afterwards. So, you got to give it to New Japan. It was comical, but then it was great just hearing all the fans. And that was Tanahashi had a draw with Katsuyori Shibata. So, your thoughts on this one, Brandon?
Man, I'm letting you say those names. There's no way I would attempt to say any of those names. I'll just go with whatever you say. We'll have to use the AI thing they use nowadays on the internet and let them say it for us. But,
yeah, I might just say the winners and just let it go.
I'm okay with a chop fest personally, but a lot of people don't like them because you feel like after you give somebody 3-4 chops, their chest done gone numb. They're not going to feel it anymore. So after about 4 or 5, it's kind of pointless to do, but I still don't mind watching it myself.
I think the chop and the super kick is the most used items I've ever seen in pro wrestling. I've never seen a match that doesn't have a chop or the hand slap or the super kick. It seems like everybody's doing it now.
I think the reason why everybody does the chop is because, it's the realest move in wrestling, and it's the one move that you can't, fake like you're doing. I mean, you can look at the chest, see that the chest is red, so they're doing it. So when you hear it, that they're feeling what you hear. But the super kick thing really wasn't overused, not long ago. It used to be, that was Shawn Michaels' finisher for the longest time.
Yeah.
But if Shawn Michaels wrestled now, he couldn't do that because now you see super kicks in every single match. The Young Bucks do 75 every match they're in. And when Dolph Ziggler wrestled as Dolph Ziggler, he did one all the time. Oh. And then last year, if you recall, at WrestleMania, I thought the Uso match with Jay versus Jim was going to be good, and it ended up being just a super kick fest. And people have destroyed that move. Now you can do it beginning of the match, so it could definitely no longer be a finisher like Shawn Michaels had. But the chop has always been overused because everybody likes to hear the sound of that chop when you chop them. But super kicks wasn't overused until the Young Bucks come along and Dolph came along, and now you see it in just about every single match.
That is true. All right, and then we had a women's match, which was Mercedes Moné defeating Mina Shirakawa, and now holds the AEW TBS Championship, the NJPW Strong Women's Championship, and the Rev Pro British Women's Championship. Boy, she's got 3 titles now, Rev.
I know, and I just wish that I saw the appeal in her that everybody else sees. I just don't see it.
You know, she used to be a great. I used to love watching her and Charlotte Flair go at it. I mean, they did clinics in the ring.
I don't know what happened. Like after she was Sasha Banks for 3 to 4 years, maybe the fame went to her head. I don't know, but after about the first 3 to 4 years, I just no longer cared for her. And then when she started whining about not being happy and wanting to be used more, I was like, my gosh, and what else can you do? Then she goes to AEW, and after her first night, she's just done nothing that appealed to me. I just don't get the appeal behind her.
Well, you know, I know we didn't get a chance to talk about this because we were on break, but her match with Statlander, the second one, was actually pretty awesome. I think that match was well. It told a great story, and it brought me back to the Sasha Banks, like you was talking about, with Statlander as the Charlotte Flair. Of course, she's not Charlotte Flair, but as close as you could get right now in AEW, I think.
Yeah, I think Chris Statlander's very, very, very good. Matter of fact, last time you and I talked, we were talking about AEW's pay-per-view, and it was the match Statlander had, and I think I said, something to the effect of she could put on a good match with just about anybody she's in the ring with right now. So she actually made Mercedes look halfway good. That's because of the fact that's how good Statlander is.
And honestly, I love Chris Statlander. Give me some Chris Statlander in every freaking show. I love me some Chris Statlander. Just like Rev likes some Willow Nightingale, I like me some Chris Statlander. We'll just be a tag team, Rev.
All right, sounds good.
All right, next one was a match that I didn't know that was going to happen. David Finlay versus Brody King, and Finlay beats Brody King.
Yeah, that's probably a good time to let David Finlay, start to try to make a name for himself again, because people are going to see that, but not like you'd see, at a big time show, but still it's out there. But
yeah,
it seemed like anybody that last name Finlay can wrestle.
Yep, I agree with that. Shato Umuno, hopefully I said that right, defeated Claudio Castronoli. I thought Castronoli had this match, and Shato actually came out on top.
I think I'll go to bed tonight and change my name to Brandon Finlay, and I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll be a 5-star pro wrestler. all I got to do is change my name to Brandon Finlay. That's all I got to do.
Okay, the next match from that was Kensuke Takasha defeated Tomohiro Ishii for the Never Openweight and AEW International Championship. So he keeps his title intact.
The best part of doing these shows is hearing you pronounce these guys' names.
Yeah, I'm just butchering them. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, you got to give me some love. Do it in the comments. Just laugh at me, whatever. Just give us some comments on this. And also go to Ref Brandon and the Todd family, make comments on his too, just because he's laughing at me. Anyway, all right. Then we got your favorite tag team of the year. Ref Brandon voted them tag team of the year. That's the Young Bucks. They defeated the United Empire and lost something. Dishopan for the IWGP Tag Team Championship. So the Bucks, once again, one match after being gone, and they're once again Tag Team Champions. So for this time, it's the IWGP.
Well, that's probably, in my opinion anyway, the greatest thing the Young Bucks ever did was tell Tony Khan they were going to remove themselves from AEW TV, and they ain't been on TV since then. And I ain't heard not one complaint about them. Ain't nobody missed them. You missed them like you missed hemorrhoid. But there ain't no point to take yourself off AEW TV and lose the titles to go to NJPW and win the titles. But that's because it's the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks are never going to lose.
Yeah, I'm sure they found a way to put some stroke in this one. If they was going to be on the show, they wanted to win. Yota Tashi defeated Jack Perry for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship.
Well, I'm glad to see Jack Perry finally being used again. You know, he was off AEW TV for, it seemed like, an eternity, and they finally brought him back. So maybe he's going to branch out now and, you know, go to NJPW and try to, you know, build his character back up, because he had a bad name there for a while because of everything that went down with him and CM Punk, and you felt like Jack Perry was at least either taking blame or getting blame, because even after CM Punk left, you still didn't see Jack Perry around for the longest time. But I guess he's back for good now.
Well, we'll see. It was a very good match. I think Perry did a great job, and definitely should get some love for what he did. Then we come to the final two matches, and these matches, folks, were classics. These two matches were worth the pay-per-view all to themselves. Just like you would see a Will Ospreay and match, these two matches were worth the pay-per-view. Kenny Omega defeated Gabe Kidd. Brandon, this was a 5-star. Kenny Omega is back, and he looked great.
Yeah, you know, I've been reading articles now and reports for the last, you know, couple of weeks, if not a month, about Kenny Omega, and I'm glad that he's finally healthy, and I'm glad he's back for all the Kenny Omega fans, but I don't fully really understand why he's wrestling at other places but not on AEW. To me, if you're healthy, ready to go, you would think you'd want to be on AEW first, but not all the other ones. But anyway, even though that makes no sense to me, I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's finally healthy. He was out for a long time.
Well, actually, he answered that question last week before the pay-per-view. He was on a podcast, and I heard him say the reason why is he's been gone for so long, and he feels like the AEW roster is so full, and that these guys are fighting for time on TV, that he doesn't mind going to New Japan, doesn't mind going to CMLL and getting back into shape and letting those guys have their time, have their moment on TV, and earn his way back onto the show. Now, he did show up at the last pay-per-view and handed the title over to the Continental Classic that they had. He handed the title over to the winner. So I think I understand now why he did it, because like you, at first I was kind of confused why, but I think that's noble of him to do that, to, hey, I'm going to work my way up just like everybody else had to get onto the mainstream TV, AEW. I'm going to go to New Japan for a little bit. I see him doing some guest appearances on AEW, but I think when it comes to a match, I think he might be waiting.
Well, at least he ain't as severed as Young Bucks are.
Folks, as you can tell, Ref Brandon is not a Young Bucks fan. He is just their number one fan. Anyway, and then the match of the night. And, of course, we saw at the last pay-per-view at AEW, Ricochet has become a bad guy. That's right, folks. Ricochet has changed his attitude. And he changed on Swerve this past week. You there?
Yeah, I kind of wonder if that is, I'll make sure I won't interrupt you. I kind of wonder if that is something that they just wanted to try because, you know, Ricochet's always been a good guy, or if it's because of what they're doing with Swerve, you know, ain't working. I've been reading multiple reports lately about how people just say that Swerve Strickland is just not a moneymaker. He's just not a merchandise seller. He just don't put butts in seats. So you kind of wonder if they're doing this because Ricochet is so loved, just to try to start a feud with him and Swerve to see if people will actually watch Swerve wrestle.
Well, he took on Zack Sabre Jr., the returning Zack Sabre Jr., And Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Ricochet for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in a match that was 5 stars all the way across the board. To me, it was. I know, Riff, you'll get a chance to look at it eventually. But what I know you didn't get to see it. I gave it an A. There was a few small moments that keep it from being an A plus, but just based on the highlights that you saw, what would you think?
I'd say either a high B plus or a minus, but Zack Sabre, you said his name, it reminded me. He's probably the next biggest, I guess, independent guy that I'm surprised has just signed with a big time promotion. He is really, really good.
Well, I think he likes being an independent. I've heard different interviews with him. He's looking at signing one, just like Will Ospreay. I think he wanted to do the independent scene a little bit longer and grow his brand, and now that way he has a better bargaining chip going into a WWE or AEW or TNA. Which TNA folks, I don't know if anybody's been watching it, but they have really been putting on some great shows also. So,
yeah, they have. One note I wanted to make about NJPW, and I guess if you watched it, you heard whatever he supposedly had said, but a commentator named Chris Charlton, I think is how you say his name, has been suspended for 2 months for comments he made on the pay-per-view about Tony Khan. But I guess unless you actually watched it and listened, nobody knows what he said, but apparently it was bad if he got a 2-month suspension. So you kind of wonder if he'll even show back up when that suspension ends, or if he'll just say piss on it and try to leave. But apparently if he was suspended, he must have said something that he didn't ask to say. He just went on his own and said it, and it must have been degrading to Tony Khan in some kind of way.
Yeah. Well, I didn't catch it. Of course, I was too busy watching the wrestling. I really wasn't even paying. I think I had the volume down on the commentating because I figured I wouldn't be able to understand half of it anyway. So, it was a great pay-per-view in my eyes, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. But, Ref, tell us where they can find you each and every week on YouTube.
Ref Brandon and the Todd family. Make sure you spell out the word and it is 6 words, not one long word. But typically, once you hit Ref Brandon, it usually pops right up on your YouTube home screen. But I'd appreciate all the comments, all the views, all the subscribes. The channel's finally growing. I finally started going live a couple of weeks back, and ever since I did that, it's helped the numbers out tremendously. Of course, you always, just about every time you go live, you're going to get 1 or 2 comments from a robot, and you hate those, but generally for the most part it's live people, and I enjoy reading the comments as I go. It's mainly a college football and wrestling channel, but I do talk baseball and basketball, and whenever NASCAR starts back, I'll be doing some NASCAR talk about once in a week. I do a Braves talk about once a week during baseball season. Then I do top 10 countdowns about every week that sometimes aren't even about sports at all. So it's a sports / variety channel that about anybody can find something they enjoy on there. Plus, I do a dad joke in almost every single video, and who doesn't love dad jokes?
I waved my hand, Brandon. Oh man, but anyway, make sure you reach out and go watch his channel, like, subscribe, make comments, whether you catch the live or catch it later in the day. Make sure you go out and support Ref Brandon. He is a great guy, great family man, does a lot in his community, does a lot with pro wrestling to help others. And Ref, where are you going to be at this weekend real quick?
And I'm the best looking man on YouTube.
Oh, mercy.
I'm supposed to be at 244 Livestock Road, East Denali, Georgia. The doors open at 6 o'clock. Bail time is 7 o'clock. Tickets are only $5. It'll be our last SWA show before our next huge show, which is next month. We have it reloaded, but they're calling for snow. If it snows, the show may get canceled, but as of right now, I'll be at 244 Livestock Road, East Denali, Georgia, Saturday night for SWA Wrestling.
And folks, something else you can catch him on is a YouTube channel called Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. Go by and watch that. I actually have gotten hooked on it. So you'll see Brandon on there from time to time. Am I correct on that, Brandon?
Yeah, I was going there. They run generally, for the most part, they run every other Saturday. And I ref there for about 2 years, and they have some really, 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 really good talent there. It's one of the best indie shows around,
Yes.
if not the best. But Walmart made me start working on Saturday, so I've had to cut back tremendously. So I ain't been there in a few months, but at one time I was going there on a regular basis. And if I ever get a chance, I'm definitely going to go back.
Well, there you go, folks. You can call the Walmart where Brandon works and tell them to free Brandon on Saturday nights. That's right. We're going to start a petition. Free Ref Brandon on Saturday nights. We need him at Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. That's for sure.
I can go with that.
There you go. All right, folks. Once again, we want to thank Donnie and Angie over at Beef and Rib over in Westminster, South Carolina. Opens up tomorrow. We will be there. That's right. Rasslin and Racin's Jay, that's right, me. I will be there tomorrow, be giving away some free stuff. Come by, be glad to do some autographs. I'll put Ref Brandon's name on there, because I can't say the word, much less spell it. So we're going to have some fun there. And also want to thank Arden Spring Grill in Central South Carolina. Don't forget, every Wednesday's Wing Day. Now, this week, I think they're going to be closed. I'll get more confirmation on that, and I'll make sure to put it in the comments. Because they are, of course, going to be all over at the one in Westminster. So we'll look forward to hearing about that. Want to thank Upstate Physical Therapy. Want to thank Pepsi Cola. Want to thank Redbubble.com. Make sure to get all your wrestling and racing gear there. And that's it for this week. We want to thank you for watching. Get ready for Raw on Netflix. This is Jay. That's Ref Brandon. Wrestling and Racing. See you next week.